Hey folks, still trying to figure out my mite situation. Just come into the shop after spending the afternoon blowing snow. Drifts as high as the front of the truck there, so it's a good thing I got that snow blower working good. So now we're going to take a few minutes and try to look at these things a bit more. So I have taken out of my main shed a sample for each row of hives. So I got rows 1 through 4, and I also sampled my nukes. So I got 5 samples in total here. The 4 samples are all about the same amount of bees, and then the nukes are a slightly smaller jar. I've also taken the trouble, I took the FLIR camera in there and checked every hive within the conventional hives. I didn't do the nukes. They're a little bit more hit and miss, but the ones that live come out roaring in the spring with fresh young queens. So tends to be slightly higher mortality. But when I look at the results for the regular hives, I've got a fair number of dead ones. Now, this includes, I didn't take out of account the ones from the various trials. So there are, and there's also here, there was 2 pallets on this first row, 4 hives in each pallet, so 8 hives total that were dead. And I think I must have mistreating those, or there's some sort of screw up on my part there, I think. But then when I add it all up, 24 hives in 3 rows, 1 row slightly shorter. Do the math. I'm looking at somewhere between, and we took those 8 hives out of there. We'd be looking at somewhere right around 12% losses right now. That's a bit high, but not horrible. And that's from all causes, right? This is not necessarily all mites. There was at least a couple I noticed that looked like they'd starved. They had that kind of spill out of bees, kind of all hanging together. That's characteristic of starvation. The odd hive just eats itself out of house and home. And I've checked a bunch, and they all seem terribly heavy and full of feed yet. And then the odd one will just go nuts and eat everything. So it's eliminated from the gene pool, I guess. All right, so I got my post-snow blowing beer, and I've got my samples, and I'm gonna get to it. I'm not gonna bother you with the whole thing, but I am gonna do the same process. Pour the sample through the jar. I think, where's one of these jars has some markings on it. Must have rubbed off. Anyway, we think there's about 400 bees in these jars and probably about 300 in this one. So that's the plan, and I'll come back in a few minutes with results. Okay, so we have results, and they're good results. So this is my standard issue hives. Received both a apivar treatment starting about the 10th of September, removed mid-October, so they had a nice long exposure. And then we hit them with 2 doses of oxalic in mid-October as well. So we have row 1, only 2 mites out of all 400 bees, so 0.5%. Row 2, quite a bit higher, 27 mites, so a bit better than 6.5%. That's interesting. Row 3, back down to 5 mites, so 1.25. Row 4, 8 mites, exactly 2%. And the nukes, 9 mites on 300 bees for 3%. So, those are numbers that I'm prepared to live with. The good news is no panic is necessary here. I can continue to play with my control hives that did not receive fall treatments. They have higher mite levels. Some of them are dead. The ones that are alive, I can try to play at knocking those mites out of those. So that if I ever needed to do it to all my hives, I would know what I'm doing. That's the goal. But I don't need to panic and start treating everything. But I will need to, when these bees get out of the shed, I'll need to be very on top of it to know. And this is a bit of like I'm sampling 10 hives out of. No, I did more than that. I tried to pick one from every pallet, both sides. So that would be 16 hives, all the way both sides rocking around the row. So 16 hives to get a sample of 400 bees out of 224 hives. I'm actually gonna maybe be worthwhile. If one of my students is really good at stats, I should get him on a Zoom call, or her, get a student on a Zoom call and see what the margin of error is on these mite counts. I think that would be an interesting exercise. So I'm gonna reach out and see if anyone, I'm no statistician, I'll tell you that. But we'd have to, estimate the number of bees in the hive, the number of hives, and all that. And we could find out how accurate these counts really are. But to me, they're at least reassuring that what I did last fall, by and large, worked compared to the the kind of percentages we see in the treatments that only received either, and it's interesting, even the Apivar only or oxalic only treatments have mite levels in the 8% range compared to these hives that got both of those treatments are down in that, with the one row exception in the 2%. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is I did choose for the tests yard sites that had the highest mite samples when we tested. I had 2 or 3 yards that had elevated mite levels compared to the rest of the operation, and that's where we did those tests. So they might have been starting from a little bit further behind the 8 ball than the other hives. So, I guess I should have done, you learn these things in retrospect. I should have done a test right in that group of oxalic plus Apivar, which was the standard treatment, just to be sure that I had was really testing everything. I thought I'd be smart and test each thing in isolation. But the entire operation is the gold standard of the double treatment, and that seems satisfactory. So, phew. What do I got? I got a sampling method that works, right? We can sample hives out the entrance and get decent results. We can check which hives are alive and which are dead. What I found interesting, I should point this out too. So this first row had the higher dead situation, but it's the second row that has the higher mites. Is that just the particular hives I chose to take the samples from? Like I said, I think that this somehow these 2 pallets of bees got missed. I have no recollection of that. There's nothing written on them. I don't know, but anyway, that to me, there's 2 pallets. All 8 hives, they're stacked one right on top of each other. All 8 hives, both sides of the row, were just dead. So, and there was nothing like that. All the other deads were scattered out pretty consistently throughout the operation, and those could be missing queens. These could be high mite levels. Could be starvation. There's multiple causes. So, if we're this far through the winter and this is my cull factor, I'm okay with that. Trust me, I'm super okay with that. So, everyone, relax. We're gonna be okay. But we still got lots to learn. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a great day.